Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to the only game where big robots aren't that big. It is Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever, and today we're looking at a 7v7 played on the map Adaptive Aloran. Let's go ahead and get right into player introductions with Team 1 up here in the north and Team 2 down here in the south. And we're going to start with the red Cybran player going first land with 900 rating behind his name. It's none other than Eden Luca, or maybe it's Juka. I don't know. It's very difficult. But of course, we can move over to the east with the purple Aeon going first land. And of course, at 900 rating, they are named Periosa, and they have chosen the best faction. Then, of course, down to the south, we have ourselves a maroon Cybran going first air at 900 rating by the name of Cybran Commander. Very fitting name, and he's chosen like the right color and faction, everything very on point. As we move to the dark blue, Cybran going first, land at 900 rating, known by none other than Emerald Juka. Him and Eden. They're the Juka brothers. And then, of course, we have ourselves a green UEF going first, land at 800 rating. His name is Neuromancer92, and he is ready to fight it out. Then, to the south of them, we have an orange Seraphim going first, land at 800 rating. And his name, of course, is Covoid. And then over to the west of them, we have a lime green Cybran going first air at 0 rating with the name Eldorino. And with all of our players in the north introduced, let's go down to the south, starting with the gray Aeon best faction going first land at 1500 rating. It is Callus. Then, of course, over to the west of them, we have a dark green Seraphim, Seraphim, sorry. Got my names mixed up. Player going first land at 1300 rating by the name of Surrey. I doubted myself. I can never doubt myself. If you do that, you mess up. Then, of course, to the north of him, we have a purple UEF going first land at 800 rating by the name of the Mevin. And, of course, to the east of him, we have a white UEF going first land at 800 rating by the name of Persevis. Or Persevis. Man, the names are really difficult in this one. As we move up to the yellow Cybran going first land at 300 rating, his name is ConGamer1011. And then, of course, we have ourselves a Cyan Aeon, best color, best faction. He's got it together. He has 600 rating behind his name, and he is Ogle. And last but not least for the entire game, we have a 500 rated blue Cybran going first land by the name of Silva Reaper. And of course, we now go to look at what these players will get up to. Let's go ahead and speed up the game. Let's look at the map. And of course, we have to look at the all-important number, the reclaim number for this map, 31.1 thousand reclaim for these players to scoop into their coffers. And of course, there's a lot of terrain changes in this map. So we have this little land bridge kind of area, this middle causeway is what we'll call it. And it is, of course, the area that we're expecting to see a lot of fighting in, but that is, of course, not until we look at the sides. It seems as though this map is kind of a MOBA. We have a 2v2 up here, we have a 2v2 down here, and we have a 2v2 in the middle, and then the air players are on their plateaus, and they are they're relegated to just, doing their air thing and being annoying. And of course, with that, it's like a 2v2v2v1v1. That made no sense. But you're still watching. And you know why? Because you like FAF content and you want to see more. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And don't turn that knob, because we got a big and crazy game ahead of us today. And of course, down here in the south, we have our first little bit of aggression. We have a few mech marines out from the Mevin, and it's going to be joined by some Salins here soon. coming out from Surrey, and they're going to be able to pick up an Engineer. Very important kill over towards Covoid. And, of course, Mevin is trying to make the most of the situation. Going to come over here, going to be able to start killing off some Zooies. A point defense is being thrown up, but that's going to be relatively slow. So some more Engineers are going to go down here as long as the Mevin keeps on top of his micro. That PD may go up, but I don't think it's going to. And oh no, it's a disaster here, folks, for Covoid, losing so much to just 3 Mech Marines, all of them sitting on ranks of veterancy and diminishing the early game for Covoid heavily. It's going to be a very, very sad day for him today, but he deserves it because he chose the worst faction, which is Seraphim, and he is paying the piper for his transgression. Over here to the north, we have Ogle and Cybran Commander starting to fight it out. I really do like that none of the players on the same flanks chose very similar colors, so pretty easy to keep everything separated out. And Ogle taking a very aggressive position and somewhat just making it work, not really losing too much here. As down to the south, we of course have the Mevin, who is getting T2, one of the first upgrades we've seen throughout this game. We have gun speed and range also on the way for Emerald in the middle. And of course, that is finishing now. T2 also started up for Con Gamer. And of course, we now have these players in the north. There's some aggression kind of breaking out. We have a lot of units now out from Surrey. And he is really making work get done with the early harassment out from his ally Mevin. And is shutting down the easiest expansion, theoretically, for Covoid to take. Covoid's having a lot of struggles here in the early game, and he is about to be crushed if he can't get a handle on things. He's going to bring the commander over to try and do some stuff. Built a PD at this reclaim field, I guess trying to prevent anybody from stealing it from him. But would have just been better to have Engineers and not lose them all to Mech Marines and be able to reclaim all of that himself right now. Meanwhile, in the middle with that gun speed and range upgrade, Emerald Juka is starting to push forward. He has the ally assistance of his friend here, Neuromancer92. And he is starting to get some work down. Con Gamer just now having to cancel T2 and run for his life away from Emerald Juka. And we could see a very early ejection if these two players on the southern team can't find a way to negate the overwhelming presence that's coming out from the northern team here in the middle. Meanwhile, at the north, we have a large contingent of units over here for Periosa starting to fight their way forward. And we, of course, also have Cybran Commander with his commander out here trying to get some damage done. And here in the middle, Perseus is trying to throw up a T2 PD. He got himself to that T2 check on his commander, but has not managed to build up anything with that. Needs to build most likely T1 PD if he wants any chance here. And now Con Gamer started speed and range, had to cancel it as he's going to bring his comm over to try and protect Perseus. And there just needs to be something here. We need to see a lot of units most likely coming out from players like the Mevin, or maybe even some units coming down from Silva Reaper. As right now, the damage is coming down. We even have a T2 gunship coming out from El Dorino. And it's starting to put damage down onto Con Gamer 1011. And he's starting to go very low on HP, popping into the red, down to 1500 HP and falling quick. And he's about to go down. He's going to try and trade maybe with Emerald Juka, but that's just not going to happen. Emerald is still relatively healthy. And the commander of Neuromancer92 gets the kill there. And we also have the commander, of course, of Perseus over here, which is causing threat. He's gonna go down, but he's not even gonna be able to pick off a kill onto Emerald Juka, and it's a disaster as the southern team quickly loses 2 players. And as you can see, it's a no-share game. And now we see the players on the southern team start to panic. That was a masterful play coming out from Neuromancer 92 and Emerald Juka. The teamwork on display was very, very strong. And it is looking brutal right now for this Southern team. They've just lost so much mass production. They've just lost so much map control. And you have to take into account, it just takes Neuromancer getting T2 on the commander to be able to make a very strong push towards holding this entire area. And that's a very unfortunate start here in the sub 10 minute mark for the Southern team, for Team 2. Down 2 players. And under threat of just having this game run away from them before it's really even started. We do, of course, have players like Surrey, like Callus, the 2 highest rated players in the game at 1,500 and 1,300 respectively, who are going to make a strong case for taking over this area. And in fact, already a drop of engineers out from Callus wants to set up where his allies have fallen. And really nice play out from Eldorino to help out his allies there in the middle with the gunships. Unfortunately, that means that this western side is going to be relatively weak on the ground, but now Surrey having to redirect everything to the middle means that this western side that was under so much pressure from Mevin and Surrey is now just going to have so much breathing room to get reestablished and get a strong unit production up. Speaking of strong unit production, Ogle has a ton of T1 land factories over here, and he's producing a lot of units, but now he's up against 2 separate enemy comms. In fact, 3, as we have Emiral coming from the middle and using that gun comm to try and get damage down onto Ogle, and Cybern Commander as well as Periosa showing up to try and fight it out with them. And now, with all of this pressure down onto Ogle, he's managed to get T2 onto the commander, I believe. Yes, he has, and he's starting to throw up those Oblivion point defenses. But can he throw up enough in time? Is using his units as a buffer, but the Aurora is pitiful at being able to tank damage here. And the Aurora's out from Periosa being used beautifully with attack commands, and they're getting a ton of value here in the back line, while the Cybern bulkier kind of run in there and swarm your opponent units. These Mantis and these Medusa push forward for Cybern Commander, and Ogle is just out of land units. He has some units coming over here from his ally, Silva Reaper, and he's trying to throw up enough PD to stop Emerald Juka, but it's just not going to work. Emerald Juka really effective with that gun comm right now. And Ogle is starting to fall apart at the seams. His base is going to be under threat very soon. Surrey has a large contingent of units that he may bring up here to release this pressure on his Cyan ally. And honestly, he really needs to do it. Ogle gonna fall back, start building up PD further back. All of these factories are under threat, and a huge reclaim field has now formulated here with 7,000 reclaim, and if the northern team gets that, I mean, they've already been in a good position, but that's going to skyrocket the economies of these players. And speaking of economies right now, Eden Juka is doing very well. First player to pass 100 mass a second. Cal is quick behind him. Surrey behind that. 79 mass a second for Cybern Commander, not doing too shabby himself. Everybody else around 60 or lower. And now we see all of these units out from the northern team still bearing down towards Ogle, who's starting to build up a line of Oblivions. But the issue is, when he builds Oblivions here, it just opens his ally up. They'll see those, they'll say, okay, I don't want to deal with that. And they're going to move in over here towards Silva Reaper, who is just not in a position to deal with an attack towards his main base at the moment. Surrey is managing to hold this middle area. Callus and Surrey have managed to separate out the mexes here of their 2 fallen allies. And we have Chrono Dampener and gun upgrades for Callus. I would love to see him get forward and allow Surrey to really support this northern side, because This western area over here, I'm sure Surrey would like to push it, but it seems as though that side is just going to turtle up, and the northern side is a little bit more fluid in the action right now. The Oblivions, along with some Obsidians being built up here for Ogle, starting to get some work done. A big land fight breaking out over here between between Callus and Silver Reaper. Why did I say Callus? Man, there's too many names. I haven't casted a game with this name. It was Cybran Commander and Silver Reaper, but I'm out of practice with casting games with more than 8 people. But that's okay. We will get it under control at some point. You all are oh so beautiful, putting up with me whenever I fall short. And of course, over here to the west, we have ourselves a few T2 artillery pieces, some Clink Hammers going out for Mevin, and now Kovoid is trying to respond in kind with his own Zutham installations, but unfortunately for him, he's a little bit behind and his shield's about to falter, whereas the shield for Mevin is still holding strong. For some reason, building mass fabricators next to these. I think he should have probably built power generators, but who am I to judge? You want some more mass income, and you want to make those artillery quite explosive when they do eventually die. Surrey over here with gun and T2. Callus getting those upgrades, but not opting to use them is very surprising to me. T3 Air has finished up now for Callus. Do we have something similar on the other side? Yes, we do. We have T3 Air done right now, and some ASF starting to be produced, but we already have strat bombers in the air for Callus, and how will the response out from the northern team be as the first 2 mexes go down to Callus's strat bomber? Where is the ASF? The ASF is already locked on. Very, very quick response coming out from Eden Juka. Strat bomber lands right here. That's just going to be a mass dump of sorts. And the next strat bomber will finish up momentarily. Maybe it will be a little bit more effective. Currently only really hampering one of the weakest players in the game. And wow, the economies have skyrocketed. I was talking about Cybran Commander getting in that reclaim field. Well, he did, and he's got a bunch of T3 mexes and now is into T3 air production. Really playing above his level, as well as Amiral Juka with the early play has decided to eco up behind it. And all of these players, I mean, they're playing better than 900s in my opinion. They're getting aggressive and playing good FAF right now. Over here to the east, a few T1 PD thrown up to try and stop the overwhelming numbers of units coming out from Cybran Commander, but T1 PD won't cut it for too long when T2 and T3 units start coming onto the field in commonly is what I mean. And Strat Bomber gonna come in, and the Strat Bomber's gonna drop a bomb right here and take out 2 more of the T2 mexes that Kovoid spent so long building up, but they are going to fly right into some more ASF. The ASF are going to be able to take this down relatively easily, but no, manages to get past all of the defenses and drops onto another mex, killing off yet again 3 T2 mexes for that strat bomber. Huge push over here out from Cybran Commander, and there are a bunch of units to defend, but right now we're seeing the units out from Periosa and Cybran Commander whittling down the units out from Silver Reaper, but Silver Reaper now has hoplites. We'll have to see if he can maintain the micro on those very micro-intensive units and make something happen. Surrey trying to firebase here, but he's up against Gunthers already. Firebasing going on at a few points in this map, and this forward base is just completely capitulated now for Kovoid, and Mevin now building up a T2 land army on this front, and I'm really unsure what's going to be able to stop it. But air right now is firmly in the hands of the northern team. They have multiple players into T3 air, and Callus, while he is the highest rated player and is going to do air very well, he's going to struggle to keep up with the production from so many players. I would imagine. And he's also finally sending the comm forward, this heavily upgraded comm with nearly no kills. And those are attack missile batteries that were, I guess, looking to maybe kill off a commander at some point. I don't think they're going to be too fruitful in that endeavor. And Callus is just reclaiming with the commander, has it on a patrol route. And up here to the north, Periosa now has shield on the comm, has 2 gun upgrades. Looks like he wants to get aggressive. And mass is being sent to Neuromancer of all players. Why would that be? Eldorino, I mean, I guess he is the one going for the tack snipe. But your tack snipe's not going to get through that. Maybe if he sends it to the south, it could get the Mevin. That'd be a lot of effort just to get one commander there. Though it is no share, so snipes are very, very... They pay off quite well. It's like a 40% investment, return on investment. Unheard of. And, of course, over here, Silver Reaper currently managing to get quite a bit of damage done with those hoplites. But the forward base for both Callus and Suri here is starting to fall apart thanks to the overwhelming amount of siege. That's a lot of Gunthers coming out from Amiral Juka. And we now have Ras Boys in production, sub 20 minutes for Cybran Commander. The man is eco-conscious, and he is matching Callus, who has pretty much like 2.5 bases right now. My eyes, as of the moment, are on Cybran Commander as he slowly approaches 300 mass a second, which is the point where we're going to start thinking about, is he planning to build mass megalith? 4 strat bombers in the air over here to the north, showing up for Eden Juka. And if I had to guess, they're going to most likely try and snipe Silver Reaper, which will open up this area for a large attack coming out from Periosa. But unfortunately, they're not moving just yet. Maybe he's waiting for a couple more. Yeah, it seems as though he's going to build 5 more strat bombers. They do move out finally. No, they're just being given weird move orders. And Neuromancer has pinged the commander of the Mevin, but the Mevin, he's killed off this base. He has his own Clinkhammer battery, and he's now pushing into the base of Kovoid, who has just been bullied all game long. And now we're going to see these forces out from the Mevin. I mean, I don't see how Kovoid can really stop this. He's trying to build T1 PD to deal with it, but that's just not going to cut it. And you're going to see the T1 PD going down. All of these units target onto the commander of Kovoid. And Kovoid is losing health rapidly. At the very least, he's lost the base. If not, he's lost his life. And he is now being hunted down. Doesn't have E-storage to use overcharge. He's down to almost dead, and he goes down! Whaler out for Eldorino shows up just a little bit too late. And we now see a GC under production for Callus, who is the highest income player in the game. Cybran Commander, the only one even relatively close to him. I mean, I guess Suri is pretty close as well. And Suri is also approaching that point of building experimentals, but this GC is going to be done quickly. And actually, Suri is just helping build it, which is teamwork on display there. And we already have RAS SCUs transported over by Cybran Commander. How is he a 900? He's just on top of it. He's just like, all right, well, I'm going to transport over there, and I'm just going to build up all this stuff and just play extremely well, honestly. He's playing better than I am. I don't play this well. He's ecoed incredibly well. I mean, I guess he hasn't gotten much aggressively done, but he has all the tools to do so whenever he feels like it. And he hasn't been pressured, so he hasn't felt the need to. Very nice play coming out from him there. And Callus has finished up a GC, Galactic Colossus. My favorite experimental in the game. Actually, it's not my favorite, but it's up there. It's close to my favorite. I won't tell you what my favorite is. I'm a man of mystery. Now, of course, we're going to be waiting a little bit for these players to get some things done here. Now, GC is the biggest point of contention on the map, and I'm wondering what it's going to do. And man, Cybern Commander already sitting on 5 RAS SCUs at sub 25 minutes. It's very quick. And he is starting to build up an air grid. For some reason, built that at T2. Or maybe he built at T1. He's gonna try and get up an air grid. Was that another experimental? Yes, it was. Monkey Lord finished up for Amiral Juka after that stunning early game. And these Gunthers, as long as they know that's a GC, they can definitely try and focus it down and get some damage down onto it before it gets close. But if this GC just closes the distance, they're just going to go down. They're going to get maybe another round of shots off at the GC if they're lucky. And in comes all of the fire, and they weren't able to target the GC, so they just hit everything behind it. And this forward base now going down. The Monkey Lord gonna show up and try and fight the GC, but this only goes one way. Strap Bombers come in for Eden Juka to try and help out. The Monkey Lord is just going to sit here and fight it out. And the GC versus Monkey Lord fight with the air fight above it. GC takes down the Monkey Lord, and the air fight is going to go to Callus. I was really expecting it to go the other way, but Strap Bombers and air-to-ground damage has brought the GC down to 7,000 HP. And there's even a Whaler here that was trying to participate. And there's also a bunch of Whalers and built up by both Cybern Commander and Eden Juka. In that reclaim field, that Monkey Lord, I'm not sure that the Southern team will be able to get on top of that. Speaking of reclaim, our reclaim leader is Cybern Commander. He's on the top of the reclaim charts. He, at one point, was on top of the mass chart. I don't know, Suri and Callus passing him up as they had more mexes to make T3. And we have another GC under production. Wouldn't be surprised to see the first GC get Control K'd, but it does have a rank of veterancy. You can kind of just wait for it to get its HP back. Mass Whaler is a interesting call when you don't necessarily have air control. And I'd like to see these players on the Northern team build less air-to-ground firepower and just get control of air. Stop letting it be something that's contested. And Callus has built yet another GC. I'm guessing he's going to hand that over to Suri as well. Do we have anything? We have a nuke finished up and 75% loaded. Do we have an anti-nuke? We do have one here for Callus. I'm not seeing one for Suri. Let me just double check here. There's not one built up for Suri currently, unless I'm just blind. Which could be a problem. Neither for Mevin. But Suri is one of the highest eco players in the game. In fact, the highest. And a lot of his eco is concentrated right here. So that could be huge. Another Monkey Lord finished up for Juka. And Azar is going to be coming online for the other Juka. here in a little bit. He's already got it built up. The nuke launcher. No counter nuke right here. Callus pointing out that he could be nuked right there. Ogle, who we haven't really talked about in a while, has managed to rebuild over here on this eastern side after Silver Reaper got killed. I'm guessing that was from Strat Bombers. I completely missed it. Oh, man, I'm going to hear about that in the comments. You missed a player. I was watching this Willow cast, but he missed this player dying after pointing out how he would die. And, you know, I just can't watch. He has too much ADHD. He can't focus. And, of course, over here to the east, a ton of whalers showing up. This GC is very sad because he's going to die. And the air presence for the southern team, it can't be everywhere at once. And now with all of these SAMs going up for Cybern Commander, all of the air for Callus just goes down. Surrey does have his own Air Force now, but that GC did go down, and it's now up to the southern team to reclaim it. But there's a GC that's pushing in the middle, but it's gotta have to run away as there's just too many whalers, and you just aren't gonna get anywhere with these land experimentals when there's so many SAMs now built up by Cybern Commander, who is just doing everything but trying to, like, find a way to end the game. He's just playing very well, though. And now, of course, down here to the southwest, we have a Monkey Lord, and that's... Is that a surprise? Did they know about the Monkey Lord? They really don't. An ASF may be nice enough... Well, I mean, yeah. This is a problem. Like, legit, this is a problem, because I don't know how he stops it. His team doesn't just have, like, 100 whalers sitting around for shiggles. And strategic launch detected. Where is it going? It's going against Ogle. Oh, I feel so bad. He's been trying so hard this game. He hasn't done that much, but he's been playing with his heart. And Mevin points out the spider on the map, and we're gonna watch this nuke come down and bring hellfire and sadness for the Cyan Aeon player. Oh yeah, this seems less than optimal down here in the southwest corner. Although he's not really trying to push forward. Wonder what the reasoning there is. We just have a random chicken, you know, just chilling. He's watching this cliff. He's making sure the cliff doesn't move. You gotta keep an eye on the terrain. Sometimes it sneaks up on you. A Monkey Lord in the middle. There was a GC sitting around here somewhere. Oh, yep, there it is. And there's players kind of sitting around with a lot of stuff. The first 20 minutes of this game seemed like everybody was playing at a much higher level, but it's becoming very apparent at this point that the northern team does not know how to close out a game. But they do know how to not lose. And that's what they're doing very well right now, is not losing. Because nothing can get past the halfway mark of the map without just being obliterated by them. They just need to move that to nothing can get anywhere on the map without being obliterated. And the southern team, I think they have a better idea of how to close out a match and how to do things. They're building a lot of experimentals and such. But they really got gobsmacked there in the early game and have been on the back foot ever since. That's a Czar, which there is now a lot of air for the southern team and even more SAMs. So this is not quite as scary as it might seem. I'm pretty sure there's enough air to one-pass it. The gunship's over here to the east. They're wreaking havoc. That was a RAS SU dying to the GC. And Cybern Commander is still sitting on a ridiculous eco, and maybe we're looking at the beginnings of an artillery piece over here. And the Tsar is being used on Mevin's forward fire base. But the ASF, they were a little bit out of position, and the Tsar is going to be able to fall back now. The air control should just be for the southern team, but I don't think it's going to happen. And with that firebase down, the two Monkey Lords coming out from Amiral Juka, they don't really have much in the way of things to stop them at the moment. Where was that chicken from earlier? Where did it end up going? I must be blind because I'm just really not seeing it. Well, wherever it is, it ain't here. And that's not good as the Monkey Lords attack. They push in. And they're going to be able to get quite a bit of damage down. I mean, that's a lot of T2 PD, and that'll deal with one of the Monkey Lords, maybe. There's some Percivals that are going to try and chase them down, but they're faster than the Percivals, so they can just get in here and deal massive damage. And the Monkey Lords, they blow up a power generator. And so much more is starting to go down. These bases just being obliterated. We see some Ravager fire, and the chicken does finally show up. The base of Mevin is in shambles, losing most, if not all, of his T3 mexes. But overall, that could have been much more damaging, I feel. But they didn't have anything to deal with all the Percivals there. And that chicken did show up at a very fortuitous timing. But over here to the east, a large group of whalers. The Tsar managed to die some horrible death. And all of these whalers, they're baiting the ASF out from Callus right into the ASF of Eden Juka, and all of these bouncers on the ground for Cybern Commander. And he's just doing a combined arms push, but now there's a GC in the area. In fact, two of them. And Surrey is going to be the only person happy about this situation. It does seem as though Ogle is going to try and help out his ally here, as the reclaim efforts are going to go through. The double GC on this northern side, I mean, if the air presence is allowed to do its work, this is just not an issue. All of these whalers coming out from Cybern Commander will be more than enough to deal with those two GCs quickly. And speaking of which, the first GC, well, he's in pain. This might be called pain and suffering. He's gonna die a very painful death here on Adaptive Aloran, a map that apparently causes pain and suffering for experimentals. And all of the ASF of Surrey are gonna die chasing down the whalers, and not even gonna get all of the whalers. Yep, that was a lot of So Surrey currently has 2 ASF left, and Callus did something very similar and is at 43, and Eden Juka is at 35. So they still have enough ASF to like defend themselves, but like it's not going well for the air game with how many SAMs have been built up by Cybern Commander. And over here, Eden Juka going to build up another Tsar. He was the one with the nuke earlier that hit Ogle's base. We have more chickens going to be coming online. A chicken over here to the west now pushing. GC in the north going to go down much the same way his brother did. And that is brutal. These experimental pushes have just shown to be relatively ineffectual time and time again. And we now have yet another one over here to the west, but will it be effective is the question. All of the whalers over here need to make their way south, and it does seem as though they're going to make their way in that general direction. There's a lot of PD now built up, but it's T1, so it's not going to be incredibly useful against the likes of chickens and Percivals. But now all of the whalers are making their way over, and honestly, the southern team, they'd get more mileage out of building flak. They're dealing with whalers, not strats. Mobile flak would be a godsend. They'd have so much more damage per mass that they're throwing into AA. But the whalers now going to come in, and I'm guessing that they're going to try and fire on pretty much everything here. The AA should be the first target. All of these ASF or Surrey show up and start trying to shoot down all of the whalers. Oh, there's so many whalers going down here, though. And it's just a massacre of these air forces for the northern team, but the whalers will seemingly prevail, as now there's a monkey lord on the way to try and clean up the chicken when the whalers do inevitably die. And we do see mobile flak starting to come out for Surrey, realizing that the problem is the gunships. A monkey lord needs to try and close distance with that chicken right now. Instead, gonna move up and try and fight all the Percivals. Seems like the wrong call to me, but if the Percivals don't fire at them, then I guess it'll be fine. A Tsar showing up for good measure and going to be able to be used as a mobile SAM site. And now with all of the air pulled towards this southern side of the map, you can see a ton of whalers every time. Every time the air is pulled south, the whalers move east. And the chicken is going to get killed by the monkey lord, but now there's a second chicken. It is going to be standing right next to the ion storm of its chicken ally. Is most likely going to take quite the beating. Actually, really doesn't take any beating. If that was a GC, the GC would have just died. Because the chicken seems to attach the GC like a magnet. The chicken ion sphere. And of course, we now have T3 artillery online, and it's over here for Callus. And he's firing towards the base of Eden Juka, and Eden Juka's losing all of his air grid. And oh no, it's a disaster. I was expecting Cybern Commander to get into the T3 artillery first, but he just didn't decide to. And now the base of his ally is falling. And as I said, this northern team, they just didn't know how they wanted to close out a game. They didn't know how to work with their advantage, and it seems as though Surrey and Callus are making it work for themselves. Ariosa's built a GC. A disruptor is now going online relatively quickly for Cybern Commander, but I don't know how quick. I don't know if there is a quick enough. I'm just really surprised I didn't see Cybern Commander or one of the other players in air for this southern team to just go for more ASF. So many gunships built whenever you could have just had full air control. Now having to build up a ton of shields in order to stop this fire coming from the emissary on the other side of the map. And this shot, ooh, lands on that shield. It looked a little bit dicey there for a second. And Eden Juka going for teleporter after finishing laser. He's gonna go for the Telemazer. Callus won't be an option. SCU going down to chicken. Multiple, in fact. Going down to that chicken. And the artillery fire continues to rain down. It seems as though Cybran is doing a decent job of shielding against it. Hasn't taken too much damage. Has lost some hives and mass storage, but not anything else. Neuromancer is still trying to push in the middle, but keeps running into chickens, and there's just so many chickens and GCs being built up now for this southern team that land is just not an option to fight against them at the moment. And the shielding is still going online for Cybran Commander, but he's about to lose one of those shields, and critically, the damage over time of the Emissary does not manage to do anything to this ion reactor. Interesting. But second Emissary now online for Callus. It's going to start getting difficult to shield against for Cybran Commander, who is working on that Disruptor artillery piece still. But over here to the south, the Telemazer comes in and Eden Juka kills off Mevin. And Eden Juka goes down in kind. And with that, well, Mevin wasn't necessarily the highest value target, but Eden Juka was definitely sitting on quite the economy, and now it's going to go up in flames. Does leave a lot of reclaim back there, though. Ogle is still in the game, but only in name. And he has kind of built a mass fab farm over here. As Callus continues with the rain of fire that he's pouring down upon Cybran Commander. And Cybran Commander is trying desperately to get up another shield. Oh, will it go up in time? That one manages to, just needs to assist a couple of these shields very heavily, and he should be okay. But is instead trying to just out-shield it by having so many ED4 shield generators, some of them even going ED5. In fact, assisting the upgrade of one of them to ED5. And over here to the east, GC is pushing. There's 2 GCs that are going to be able to respond to this push, and that should shut it down. The commander of Cybran Commander is waltzing its way to the back over here to rebuild. Kind of dicey with 2 artillery on the field that could right-click on him. And Periosa has built up another GC. He's going mass GC. And he's currently sitting on 3. And he's going up against 1 GC from his opponent, Callus, but this 1 GC is very much so dead. Up against 2 GCs and about 30 whalers. Gonna be a very sad day for him. And here in the middle we have the chicken push out from Surrey, but it runs into a megalith, which deals with the first chicken along with with the help of a dead monkey lord. And the exchange of fire is quite intense between these artillery pieces. Is the fire falling down upon Callus going to be enough? No, it won't, but he also has targets like Surrey's base that he could focus on, or the air grid. Oh, he has cloak. Okay, they can't see that commander. Never mind, not as risky a choice. But we now have 2 GCs that are just going to kind of stamp their way south. I don't know if this is a great idea or not. There's a chicken and a GC laying in wait. Although the chicken is very much so hurt. That megalith not pushing forward. That megalith could have been huge here. The chicken is going to be focused down first, and it will go down. There's another chicken about to complete, so it's hard to believe the idea that these GCs will be able to push through, but now there's 2 GCs. It's close. You can see Periosa wants to push in, wants to get damage down, wants to make the GCs work, but we found land experimentals to be quite disappointing throughout this game. And now 2 GCs on 1. Oh no! It's a disaster! Callus is mismicroing his GC! Oh no! That mismicro means that he's not going to be able to kill off the GC of Periosa. It was dicey whether he could or couldn't in the start. But on top of that, I mean, now it's starting to look like Periosa may be able to push in. A GC and a chicken finish, so no, he won't be able to. I mean, he can try, but he won't get too much done. Another artillery piece about to come online for Surrey, which is going to be a problem. This base of Cybran Commander is quite the fortress now. And he has gotten minor damage down on towards Callus. Haven't seen anything happening with Eldorino in a long time. And we haven't talked about Neuromancer either. And Periosa, he pushed forward with the multiple GCs. But his first one goes down right there on top of the enemy GC, and there's going to be a chicken. He'll get the GC of Callus, but at what cost? That's a lot of strap bombers out from Callus. That's just a snipe. He can just snipe whoever he feels like. But now we're looking at a ton of experimentals coming out from Amiral Juka. You also have the experimentals from Periosa constantly making their way forward. And you have to wonder, will they be able to break through? As Cybran Commander is using the space to build up more support commanders. Or support commander production facilities, I should say. But this mass strap bomber, I mean, there's not really anything to stop these strap bombers from just killing any experimental that walks forward. They will take time, kind of critically. And there is now some bouncers showing up, which will slowly but surely deal with it. Also, the Monkey Lord's AA isn't insignificant. The chicken over here for Surrey is about to go down, and another GC finishes up, but we're looking at 2 GCs, a Megalith and a Monkey Lord versus a chicken and a GC. I mean, another GC will be built relatively soon. We also have artillery fire falling down here in the middle from Cybran Commander. And the chicken goes down. The GCs push forward. See what I mean? It just like immediately hits the GC. Didn't do that to the chicken earlier. Freaking unbalanced. And the Hovatham installation is gonna go down to stomp damage. And that GC also died, I'm guessing, to the Ion Storm since it's biased. And the Monkey Lord out in front, it's gonna clear out some of these PD. The Megalith can just keep killing off all the PD out of their range. And there's another GC coming up behind it, but that's a lot of T2 gunships that are going to be going down here soon. Strap bombers also being used to great effect. The Megalith trying to get more damage down. This is one hell of a reclaim field. The artillery wars have continued, but we've just seen that Cybran Commander is able to hold out against the artillery of Callus. The artillery efforts out from Surrey have been thwarted now. The experimental and T3 pushes coming out from this northern team are starting to get ground, and now we also have a return to T1 spam out from Cybran Commander, who's just built a ton of T1 land factories, and he's just throwing them down. Just fighting it out wherever you can. GC on GC action for the umpteenth time. Unfortunately for the northern team, the GC for Periosa going to eat some strap bombs and going to find a chicken firing at it very soon. Disruptor hit there. And a strategic launch has been detected here, and this is kind of the hub of experimental production. And that's going to be a problem. I mean, there's a new kind of hub being built over here in Surrey's base. But will this land? It seems like it's pretty close to this anti-nuke. Will it get shot down? It will. But the artillery is now hitting here, and this area is soon to be forfeit. The artillery can kill off all those mexes, and overall mass income, Team 1 is up by 500 mass a second. All of these Rasboy production facilities is quite funny. And Ogle has somehow come back into this game to be near 100 mass a second. I mean, I gotta give you the Ogle update. What kind of caster would I be if I didn't? Callus and Surrey are still sitting on strong economies. And they're still managing to hold their own in the experimental war, but it just doesn't seem like they have much of a chance of getting into this reclaim. These engineers right here have been reclaiming this GC forever. They're all pretty much like practically just like, I don't know, however much they can reclaim per second. They're just little mexes sitting there. But the artillery fire is starting to break through in points on Cybran Commander's base. Got to be a little bit worried, but he does have so many RAS SUs that you're not going to think he's going to power stall from losing power generators. And down here in the middle, more experimentals are showing up, but they're starting to get killed off by Surrey. Surrey is just making sure he keeps numbers advantages in all of these little fights. And all of this artillery here, all of these miasmas are really just causing attritional damage down onto all these experimentals coming out from Juka and Ariosa. All of these strap bombers coming in, and the strap bombers are all going to end up dying. This reclaim field has to be stupid. What, with just random strap bomber wrecks flying everywhere? Yep. Yeah, just casual Paragon or Maver right here. Up here to the northeast, a GC pushing back the efforts of Cybran Commander, who I have to say is still rebuilding T1 mexes up here in the northeast. Nobody has tried to take over this area again, but I mean, who can blame them? There's also all this artillery kind of preventing it. And the artillery is raining down on the new production hub for experimentals. What are you gonna, I mean, you can, the experimentals are the things keeping this southern team from being capitulating on land. And every time they go to build them now, they're just getting killed off by artillery. And the base of Surrey is now under threat, and honestly, he hasn't really done any shielding for T3 artillery in a while. And this disruptor station is doing well. And power is starting to become an issue. That is something that right now Cybran Commander needs to address. He's going to get a lot of overflow from all his allies. All of his allies have T3 P-Gens. And he is now starting to build T3 P-Gens across the map. And the double GC onto the one GC here in the middle. They managed to even kill off those two chickens we just saw, but the strap bombers just constant. It's just strap bombers materializing out of thin air just to die after a couple of passes. Oh no, friendly fire! All of the artillery managed to hit the GC of Callus, but... Oh, no GCs will be left standing. Oh man, this is the epitome of why are we here? Just to suffer? Just sitting here, watching artillery fly back and forth, watching experimentals die in mass. We're watching a post-apocalyptic movie. And the base down here to the south for Surrey is now under threat. He's going to start losing power generators here soon. And I think he might need those. I mean, I guess he could probably live off overflow for a while. Another artillery piece. That is 3 artillery pieces firing down upon Cybern Commander. And, oh no. The shielding is kind of starting to falter. Ooh, that was close. That could have killed off a SCU and that would have chained. Okay, all of those shields pop back on. He really just needs to set these hives to assist shields, if I'm honest. Set the hives to assist, like, select a few hives each and have them assist different shields. It does seem like he's going to manage to hold out. And Surrey says, you gotta snipe, and no! It chained right when I looked away! The caster curse! You look away and the thing happens. And all of these strap bombers are now starting to come in. The artillery has finally been silenced from Cybern Commander's artillery has finally been silenced. But all of these strap bombers are coming in. They're flying over so many SAMs. And they're going to be flying into a bunch of ASF. The ASF for Callus aren't even microed. Oh, all of those strap bombers coming in. The shield on Periosa isn't going to be enough, and down goes Periosa. And oh no, it's a disaster. Goes to show you that T3 artillery is quite strong. And he's going for teleporter, which decloaked his comm. There's nowhere he's going to be able to hit with teleporter. I mean, he'd get Surrey. He'd have to get lucky that the chicken doesn't kill him. The mass experimental here in the middle for Amiral Juka may still work, but it's gonna be a tough ask. And come all these gunships, they're just gonna die to these bouncers that have just been sitting here forever. And the strap bombers are gonna be a real issue. He's still targeting this base. There is no power to speak of. Cybern Commander. He has 31,000 power generation, but not enough for teleporter. And now the artillery is refocusing onto different targets. I'd like to see these... Well, these nukes aren't loaded. I was about to say I'd like to see them just fire at anything. Amiral Juke has built another strap. Oh, and green over here. Eldorino goes down to Callus's strap bombers.
Strategic launch detected.
And the nuke was launched, but there's 2 fully loaded. Oh, wow, that's not a half bad nuke. Wait, no, that nuke may have just changed the entire game. There's so many experimentals. We have Neuromancer starting to push forward. We have a Telemaser comm, which could possibly kill Surrey if they have scouting on it, because Surrey just really isn't in a position to deal with this. The only thing is Callus. He has a huge choke point right here, and he has all the strap bombers. Strap bombers are going to be a real issue here. Oh, it's going to be it's still not decided. I felt it was over after we lost Periosa, after we lost all that stuff, but we have to keep an eye on that commander. Where did he teleport to? He teleported to the water over here. He has Telemaser. It's in his back pocket. And the Monkey Lord is pushing in, but Surrey, you may not even need a Telemaser to kill him because he's just kind of sitting here. He's stuck. His engineers are stopping him from running. The Monkey Lord is going to go down, but right behind it is a Megalith, and right behind that is another Monkey Lord. The Fat Boy is dead. And goes a lot right there. The SMD is going to go down, but there's another SMD here, and it's pretty well and good loaded. And there's not even really a nuke left to speak of. It's really down to the experimentals breaking through right now. And the problem is the air power is just a bit too much, it would seem. Surrey, oh, his shields pop back on for just a second, just at the right time. It may not be enough still, but... oh, it's gonna be close. The fire from that Megalith, oh, each shot is taking him low, and down goes Surrey. And Surrey was defeated. It seems as though Emerald Juco got defeated as well by the artillery. Oh no. But Callus, he's made a mistake. He's put his comm in a vulnerable position. I don't think he's realized it. He left his comm somewhere where he's under threat. Oh no, never mind. He's fine. It looked like he was. Oh man, I feel like if he had just gone for mass experimental with his allies, he could have won it. But now it's Neuromancer versus Callus. It's pretty much a 1v1. And we're gonna speed it up because at this point, it's the strap bombers coming in. Thank you all so much for watching. You've been beautiful. Thank you to my patrons and channel members, as their support is tremendous. If you want to support the channel more, and more than just a like and subscribe, which of course you've already done because you're cool, but if you'd like to support the channel past that, please consider those programs. And you all are beautiful, and I will see you in the next video. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the